All right, it's interesting to note we have had many discussions about the Equal Rights Amendment. There's just one state shy of being made part of the U.S. Constitution. Today is the third annual Campus ERA Day. It is taking place virtually around the country, organized by students who are participating in something called the Grove Fellowship at Hunter College. It is led by Carol Jenkins, who is with us. Carol is the co-president, CEO of the ERA Coalition. The Twitter handle is @ERA Coalition. And Carol joins us now. Carol, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much, Tim. Great to be with you. Love your show.
Thank you. Let's talk about the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment, and the idea that it is this close. I think Virginia was one of the latest states to be looking at it. It's only one state away, right, from being part of the U.S. Constitution.
That's right. The ERA Coalition was in Virginia at least 7 times as they worked towards ratification. It fell one vote short, if you could imagine that. So we say we got as far as 37 and a half states because the Senate passed it. The House of Delegates rejected it. And they are back in, they have an election this November. We still think Virginia may be the state that becomes number 38. They have an election in November. They are hoping to flip the state blue. They're back in session in January, and so we have our hopes on January of 2020 having 38 states having ratified the Equal Rights Amendment. The only other thing we need is the removal of the deadline that was imposed on it, which has long expired. There are some who feel that, it could happen without it. But at any rate, in tonight's Zoomcast across the country, we've got something like 22 colleges in 14 states, including 3 of the unratified states, colleges in Mississippi, North Carolina, and Virginia. Tonight, Judiciary Chair Gerald Nadler will announce the date of a hearing in the House, which is huge news because that means that we are closer to a vote in the House of Representatives that would remove the deadline on the Equal Rights Amendment.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to ask that question because I know it has to be reset. It has been reset before. One cannot imagine that in a, soon-to-be election year, it's not right yet, but let's face it, elections start even earlier, that Republicans, given their stance on women and women's issues, would be, I would imagine that Republicans in the Senate as well as the House would be loath to vote against extending the deadline. At the very least, extend the deadline, let the states decide, and then move forward. I can't imagine that that there would be a better political atmosphere than right now for this to take place for the extension of the deadline.
Right. Well, I certainly agree with you, but we don't know. Ben Cardin in the Senate has a bill, SRES 6, that would remove the deadline. His co-sponsor is Lisa Murkowski, Republican from Alaska. And the way that they're going forward and getting support for that bill in the Senate, because they truly want it to be bipartisan, is that they will not add a Democrat until they have another Republican. So far, they're up to 4. Angus King came on, and then Susan Collins has voted to support the removal of the deadline. So we have Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, and working on adding to that list of support in the Senate. In the House, Jackie Spears, HRES 38 has over 160, closing on 170 supporters. We don't anticipate any problem there. Once we have the hearing, and that will be very, very soon, then we can move to a vote in the House, and we expect there to be approval to remove the deadline.
But first, you have to have it done in the states. Carol Jenkins with us, co-president and CEO of the ERA Coalition. Talk about this virtual get-together that is being hosted. I guess you're moderating a panel today, correct?
Right. We're on at 6 o'clock Eastern time till 7:30. We're working with the Grove students at Hunter College. There are 5 young women who have worked for months now, contacting colleges across the country, asking if they want to participate in the live Zoom, which means that they would get to ask a question of our panelists. And we have Patricia Arquette, activist, actor, Senator Pat Spearman from Nevada, who, as you know, started this whole new movement for ratification when she led Nevada to ratify in 2017. And then we got Illinois in 2018. Now still looking for that 38. And we have Jennifer Carol Foy, who was the chief sponsor in Virginia. In the studio, Senator Carol Maloney, who, as you know, for many, many years has introduced, she's the leading sponsor of the equal rights bills in
Representative,
the House of
right.
Representatives.
Right. Representative. And, you called her senators. That's all. Just quick correction.
Pardon me?
You called her senator. I just made that quick
I'm
note.
sorry.
It's representative. That's right.
I guess we're looking forward to her, the next iteration of her political life. But you're right, House of Representatives. and we have Heidi Schreck, who is in a sensational play that's about her life and her love for the Constitution, because that's what we're all talking about. So Heidi Schreck will be in the auditorium at Hunter College with us tonight. But we have all of these colleges signed up, really good enthusiasm from the students, which belies the fact that young people don't care or don't know that women do not have equal rights in the United States. So we're very excited about it.
Explain that a little bit. I mean, obviously I'm old enough to remember all the fights and Phyllis Schlafly being one of the great champions against the ERA and the idea that we don't need something else to make explicit in the Constitution what should be understood from the amendments that exist now. Why is it that the ERA needs ratification in addition to the Constitution?
Well, I think you just have to look at the status of women in America on several levels, on pay equity, on recourse against sexual and domestic violence, on being able to work with modifications and during pregnancy, and just the basic feeling and understanding that women are somehow subpar to men in the United States of America. I think what we need is a comprehensive amendment, a law that recognizes the value of women and their equality. When the Constitution was written, it was a small room of men, slaveholding men, who did the best they could. I must say that they did give the option for amending because they understood that things may change in the country. And I think that we need to just say once and for all that women are equal. Right now it is not nice to discriminate against women. What the ERA would do would make it illegal to discriminate against women. And some extraordinary examples, even companies, I want to go back a minute to say that when the ERA is passed, it will reflect on the United States government and states that they will not be able to do it. But we think to discriminate, but we think that culturally it will spread to all private companies and as well. So we believe that this is the next step that needs to be taken. We've done everything else we could try. The pipeline. In my day, that's the way equality would happen. That women would gradually rise through all of these levels of leadership, and it's simply not happening. So that's our theory for now, and we're so close. I mean, this can happen. We talk about it in terms of the math and the magic. The math is against us in so many of the unratified states, but the magic could happen, could strike. The enthusiasm could really take place in these in places like North Carolina and Arizona.
Well, one way or the other, what we'll do is we'll just sort of if there is a fourth annual Campus ERA Day next year, then we will talk more about it and see if we are any closer. And if not, I'm assuming that you won't need it, and maybe that's where you'll be. So we'll find out a year from now. Carol, I do appreciate you joining us on POTUS today. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Tim, very much.
That is Carol Jenkins. She is the co-president, CEO of the ERA Coalition, and today the Grow Fellowship at Hunter College. Students are taking part in this special ERA Day. It's the third annual ERA Day. It's a virtual ERA Day presentation. It's online, happening today in colleges around the country. And if you're interested, the Twitter handle is @ERA Coalition.